One of the early signs that I was going to be a different self-help guru from so many others stemmed from my reaction to books and my relationship with them. Unlike so many other gurus, my life isn't really surrounded by books, and I don't really quote them or reference them a whole lot in these videos, or really just talk about them in general. I do have a very specific reason for that. Prior to delving into self-help books in my early 20s, my last reading experience I can remember was the Harry Potter series, which even for my teenage mind was kind of a meh kind of experience. And keep in mind, this was all before we learned that J.K. Rowling was snorting mold off her castle walls and trying to wipe out trans people off the face of the earth. My far more pleasant experience with fantasy novels was actually reading books from Garth Nix. And yes, that is his real name. And I would recommend reading those books, as they are fantastic books. But even with that middling experience of reading, I decided to take a stab at reading self-help books. After all, I was getting rave reviews from network marketing hunts and from the self-help world that there are some really iconic books that I should be embracing in my own life and reading, such as The Magic of Thinking Big, or How to Win Friends and Influence People, or The 48 Laws of Power, and, of course, The Secret. I started delving into these books with enthusiasm, getting audio versions to listen to while on the bus, and it only took a few weeks of consuming that content that I found some issues with my overall reading experience and what I was listening to as well. Similar to my own Harry Potter experience, it was difficult to really piece together what the point of all of this actually was and to even follow along with it. I can forgive that a little bit with fiction novels, especially my own teenage self, who didn't really read that many books and found the whole Harry Potter experience, again, rather dull. But this is a self-help book. This is a book that's specifically designed to teach you things and guide you along and share strategies that you can share in your own life. You're supposed to give a shit about this. It just begged the question to me, are all self-help books like this? Are they all so useless? Well, the answer to that question is yes, if we're to go with a multitude of videos discussing how certain books have made people's lives worse or how they found the advice totally unhelpful. But it's well worth asking the question, why? Because despite people's own anecdotes around this, the industry is thriving like never before, with the industry projected to make $14 billion in 2025, according to 2024 prediction. All of this is accentuated by the fact that over 15,000 self-help books were expected to be published in the United States alone. Wow! This is not a dying industry here, despite our own anecdotes that are suggesting that these books are not at all helpful for us in any possible way. So let's talk about why self-help books are so useless or so unhelpful despite a growing industry and the need for them. Another reason I would not be surprised at all that this year's projection of self-help book sales and publishing is going to increase boils down to one thing. Everyone has problems, and they're all looking to solve them. From courses to physical products, self-help as a whole has thrived off of positioning itself as the savior of people's problems.
Have no fear, students, because I am here.
And that's conveyed as well in the books that they provide to people. From starting a business to dealing with emotional trauma, to being more mindful, or having a better outlook on life in general. It's easy to lump that all into self-help as long as the book is trying to be direct about giving people advice. And with our overabundance of books that are being published every single year, one dud isn't the end of it. especially if the problem you are addressing is a very serious one that you are genuinely invested in dealing with.
I need it!
All of this reminds me of the opioid crisis, or just in general medical ads that you see all the time. You'd think that no one in their right mind would ever be trying any of these things, especially as the end of the commercial usually rhymes off a list of side effects and possible problems and all of these other things that just will make the problem worse for you. And yet, people still get hooked by those commercials, and people do end up getting addicted to that medicine. Self-help books are really just in a similar camp to that, where even if you're wasting your time with reading the book and trying to apply it or struggling to apply whatever it is that they're trying to tell you, people are addicted to just picking up these books thinking that this will be the one that will change their lives forever or solve the problem that they're looking for. It's really just a gambler's fallacy here. And so part of why I think self-help books are so useless, or at least unhelpful in most circumstances, has to do with just this relationship that we have with them. From broad and general advice to pop psychology tips, many self-help books pull the same sort of tactics that many big-name gurus use in their own seminars, and keep us addicted to watching them and listening to them. They deliver the vibes of progress and solutions, but don't always tell you how to actually make that happen.
Check out the big brain on bread.
And so when that is combined with just our own desires to solve the problem in the first place, you have higher chances of being stuck than actually solving the problem that you were intending to solve. And this is quite potent for those sensational books that a lot of people just rave about, like How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Secret, or Unleash the Giant Within. Another glaring issue as to why self-help books can be so useless has to do with how we process and apply information. Specifically, there is a disconnection between the information that is being delivered and us applying it in our own lives. This is also an issue broadly with our own education system, where the system that our education is designed for is for us to extract information rather than trying to actually connect it to our own lives and give us a reason to actually care about it. As a result, things like fear of failure, a limited exposure, or lack of content, and over-relying on knowing by heart rather than genuine recalling of information become genuine barriers for us to actually learn and keep certain pieces of information intact. And self-help books only amplify those teaching barriers with just how self-help is often delivered and presented to us through the books. They are often blaming you for the problem that you're in, or they're at least implying it. And they deliver such broad and general advice without much context that you struggle to actually apply it within your own life.
So I am confusion.
And these elements just make applying it worse or harder for us. Even when books deliver very specific and precise examples, it can be more confusing or impractical in certain cases. I was recommended the book, The 48 Laws of Power, and to this day, I still don't know how the 96 examples that this book has outlined in great detail can be related to my own life. Especially when some of the examples that were being presented to me took place hundreds of years ago when it was in a completely different environment than what we're facing right now and what the world looks like today. All in all, the further disconnection self-help books make with reality tend to make applying them in our own lives all the more harder. And gurus' failure to address that in the first place in their own books makes it all the harder to apply their information, giving the sense that these books are just not helpful at all. And all of this is accentuated by one other thing that I found with self-help books. They are needlessly long. I might be a little biased with this because of my own reading experiences, but I found this to be a running theme in a lot of books that I was reading and that I was recommended. They revolved around a key argument, and they spent the entirety of the book explaining, outlining, emphasizing it, and stacking it into other things to make a very convincing and compelling argument that this very specific thing is what you should be doing in your own life to achieve whatever the result that you're looking for. And you see all of this in one big display in one of the most popular books that is on the market right now, Atomic Habits. You could literally summarize the entirety of that book in a single sentence, and that would be more appropriate than the entirety of that book, in my opinion. Setting aside how an author's experience might not be relatable to the subject at hand, or they're cherry-picking various studies to support their claims among plenty of other things, explaining and defending and tacking on extra things to support and argue your own point just seems to be more exhausting than ever. And when you combine that with people's short attention spans, a good portion of people won't be able to get through a book, let alone even get to this part of the video that's talking about why self-help books suck so much.
That's rough, buddy.
As a result, not everyone is going to have a desire or be that invested in solving a problem. And the reason I know this has to do with research that was done by the author of a book called Migraine Relief. As you can guess by the title of the book, this is done by a researcher who studied various techniques on migraine relief, and they decided to write a book to share that information and provide some guidance and some simple steps for you to follow. What's different than so many other authors is that they actually went out and reached out to the people that actually bought the book, and the results really just speak for themselves. It turned out that a fifth of the people who actually bought this book read the entire thing, and about 2 to 4% of those individuals who read it actually applied that information in their own life. For sure, the people who did actually apply that information in their own lives found it to be very helpful and relieving their migraines.
Oh, that's that good shit!
But only a small amount of people actually bother to do this in the first place, which goes to show that this behavior is probably the case with a lot of other self-help books, maybe even less so in certain circumstances when books are sensationalized like crazy. And so even when the book is actually very helpful or is trying to be helpful and is presented to be like that, the length and plenty of other outside factors can dampen our attention spans, and in turn can give us the impression that all self-help books are just generally unhelpful for us. And when all of this is combined with those other elements that I've just been blabbering about for the past little while, it's easy to just reinforce this belief that all self-help books are useless. And in certain cases, they absolutely are, but not always. Now, despite my ranting and raving for the past several minutes, I still believe that self-help books do actually have a place for us in our own lives. People do still have problems, and that's not going to be changing anytime soon. And books are just a cheap and easy solution to them. But we should be expecting far more from them. Authors should be willing to talk with the readers that buy their books and are supporting them. And they should be coming back with more revisions or an expanded version of the book after they've gotten enough feedback and figured out more of this particular problem and did some more research. Beyond that, authors should also be very easy to access as well. They should be providing their own email, or they might have a talk show where people can comment and all of that stuff. Not to mention that authors should be hiring ghostwriters or be writing the books themselves rather than passing the work off to ChatGPT and giving people just AI slop. But beyond all of that stuff, as consumers, we can also look at our authors' own behaviors and their own backgrounds too. make sure that they're actually qualified to be talking about what they're actually talking about, and also to look at their own overall biases as well. At the end of the day, picking up a self-help book should be treated in the same way that it's often framed out to be: an investment for your future. And keeping that mentality in mind for ourselves can ensure that you ultimately have a better reading experience all around and in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching the entirety of this video. It would really mean a lot to me if you pressed on the like button and also subscribe to my channel for more content in the future. I love you guys.